Hello again. This is a wake-up call for your session on testimonies from the field about nature-based solutions. We have, as you can see, a new panel who's also going to display some examples. Can you hear me well? Okay, because I can't, but that should be okay. So who's going to explain, to give us some examples from the field. We will start actually with a panelist who's online. This is, let me see my paper. This is Mario Balzan. He's from the Malta College of Arts, Science and Technology. And he'll be talking about nature-based solutions for innovation, sustainable economic growth, and human well-being in Malta. I can see that you're ready, Mario. Please take the floor. The floor is yours for 15 minutes. Thank you very much.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for inviting me. Can you hear me well? Okay,
everyone can hear you.
I'll just share my screen with the presentation. Okay. Okay, so thanks again for inviting me. I'm Mario Balzan. I'm a lecturer at MCAST, an education institution in Malta. I'm also the coordinator of the ReNature project, and I have included here the logo of the project. I'll talk with you a bit about our project, our capacity building primary project and networking project, but I'll also discuss for this session an example of an implementation of a nature-based solution and discuss some of the lessons learned from this case study. So ReNature is a Horizon 2020 twinning project. I've been following the discussion this morning, and I really enjoyed the presentations. Well, there was a lot of discussion about networking. There was a lot of discussion about clustering, even if we don't call it that in that way often. There was a lot of discussion about building the science, about monitoring, and this is what we have done in ReNature. So ReNature is a twinning project. Of our budget was not for the implementation of nature-based solutions, so we had a €1 million budget, and the idea here was to twin the institutions that you are seeing on this map here. The idea is that we want to make nature-based solutions the obvious choice, and we want to do this by collating the science, by collating the evidence, building the scientific monitoring and methodologies out there, and use these in our pursuit of sustainable development, basically. So in promoting benefits to nature, but also, as was explained very well this morning, to human well-being in the different aspects of it, basically. So one of the things which we also maybe have some time later to discuss is actually that we collated and we've developed in ReNature is a compendium of case studies of nature-based solutions implementation from a Mediterranean climate. Primarily, most of our case studies are actually within the region, Mediterranean basin, Mediterranean region. And you can see here a screenshot from our website. The compendium is being finalized now, so it's not the final version, but here you already have 95 case studies of implementation of nature-based solutions. The way we worked is we asked people to submit the case studies first from Malta in a first version of the compendium, nature-based solutions compendium, and then we opened up submissions to the wider Mediterranean community. We have 95 case studies at the moment. Is going to be developed more. I'll talk a bit later about that, but right now I'm going to focus about one case study. This is what you see on the compendium, okay? And I was asked to present a case study. I chose this case study because it's one I was involved in. It's also a combination of using gray infrastructure and green infrastructure, or using nature and gray infrastructure. And basically this project involves the use of gray water. So we recycle gray water from an educational institution for irrigation of a green roof. Incidentally, in ReNature, we did a knowledge needs analysis, and one of the key knowledge gaps that we found is how to develop and how to design nature-based solutions that are basically adapted to our climate and which require less water for irrigation. And this is something which is coming up a lot, particularly in our climate, as we deal also with conditions of drought. I mean, where I am now, this past year is really arid conditions. I mean, to 200 millimeters or 300 millimeters of rain in nearly 1 year and many months of drought. So this combined gray infrastructure with a green roof, and it was funded by the Global Water Partnership and this project in Malta, basically. It was conducted some years ago. And I say this is important because where we are working in Malta, basically, we have, and maybe some of you have been here, it's an island state with very high population density, certainly the highest in Europe, around 1,500 individuals per square kilometer. Before the pandemic, more than 2 million tourists per year. So of course, we're talking about a high density urban environment. This is a screenshot, it's not my photos, from the newspaper of Paula, where the case study is. There's a lot of traffic, which causes lower quality. It's well known, it's studied, and I want to show you some data. With the pandemic, things improved because we have now better air quality. We had better air quality during lockdown periods. There are some studies about urban heat island effects. Of course, you don't see a lot of green in that photo there. And this is going to be the case unless planning and decision making and financial tools improve for taking up the opportunity, for increasing the opportunity to implement nature-based solutions. And water availability is an issue I mentioned earlier on. And we have circumstances where even trees which have been placed there in Mecca environment or in afforestation projects, which are drying up. So if we're going to develop nature-based solutions, I think we need to think about this. And this is why I chose this particular case study. And limited knowledge about biodiversity. There is the data which shows that up until a few years ago, only 25% of society or individuals in our society know what biodiversity means exactly, even the word biodiversity. And there is a danger that when you have cities like ours, which are basically just cities, just urban environment, there's a disconnection from nature. And then it becomes difficult to protect nature, to create investment in nature within the local environment. Challenges addressed, some data about air quality here showing particulate matter. Traffic is a key issue. This is the air quality in Paola, which is again an air quality station that we have on the side where there is the green roof. And it shows how this particulate matter is changing with time, how there are incidents where the particulate matter concentration is really high and this is above EU sort of thresholds. And this is, I think, a key issue also related, not just to traffic, but traffic is certainly one of the biggest contributors there. So the results and impacts, I don't have a lot of nice photos, unfortunately, but I show you this photo here of our students working on the green roof, and this green roof which combined the non-conventional water resource application for the irrigation of this green roof. The water is recycled. The water which we use there is recycled from the sink basins of the building. The building is an education institution, so there's a lot of it's a big institutional building, so there's a lot of water going in, which is stored on site and then is used for irrigation. There's a modular green roof system, so the way this was created because of other technologies also on site, like PV panels, for example, we decided to go for this modular green roof system where basically it is possible to scale up and to scale down according to the needs of the building. And according to the particular space available. And I was saying, it's an excellent educational tool, so students can learn about this, and there's an opportunity to teach and about nature-based solutions, to carry out monitoring, which I think is also something you discussed this morning, you mentioned this morning, the need for long-term monitoring, the need for understanding the benefits that have been sort of that result from the implementation of a nature-based solution. In our compendium, which this is, as I told you, this is a case study which is presented in our compendium. We link the nature-based solution implemented to the challenges within the sites, but also ask those participating about the co-benefits which results from the application of this nature-based solutions. And this is what we identified. So an ambient heat element effect, benefits to biodiversity, opportunities for stormwater management. This is something that is a problem in Malta and in specific places. We don't have flooding. When we have flooding is because of runoff water, which is, I mean, where there's a lot of soil sealing, of course, there's this water which flows downwards, and in specific places we have flash floods, which also sometimes cause health issues, but a lot of financial problems for those living in these areas. So co-benefits associated with sustainable urbanization and with knowledge exchange, with education, with learning about nature itself. And we think this is relevant for 2 SDGs in particular, amongst other, so SDG 9 and SDG 11, so industry, innovation and infrastructure. And here, I think it's important, I mean, we're funded by a Horizon 2020 project, so the focus there is on innovation. I think there's opportunity to go in this direction, to use innovation, to combine conventional or gray infrastructure with nature-based solutions, to reach targets that we maybe could not do without combining them together. Because one of the issues which I saw was discussed a bit this morning is also the issue of space. So if you're implementing a green wall or a green roof, you have to have that space. And this could be an issue when they have fragmented ownership and so on and so forth. And I'm always talking about the situation in high density urban environments. So lessons learned, go back to what I was saying. Yes, we can combine gray and green. This is something we could do. It can lead to other opportunities. In this case, as I was saying, gray water is being recycled for irrigation in a green roof. And this could be a case study which could be scaled up in many places, I think, independent of ownership, independent of many aspects, because if you have some roofs, this could be easily implemented. The limiting factors, and here I see quite a few. I wouldn't maybe call them limiting factors, they are opportunities. There is a limiting data availability about the use of specific substrates, the use of specific indigenous plants, and so on and so forth. And this is something that we felt was substantial some years ago when we were planning this green roof. It may have improved, but I think there's still a lot of options there which can be tackled through innovation. So as I was saying, the sort of the need to minimize irrigation needs in drought conditions in our Mediterranean climate is something which is really coming up a lot when we talk about with our stakeholders. How can we minimize irrigation needs, but yet use nature-based solutions? There's a limited understanding of the co-benefits and the impact on biodiversity. So yes, we have implemented a green roof. Yes, we have used indigenous plants and so on, but how does this contribute to increases in biodiversity, increases in species diversity, increases in species abundance? Is not something we have done. It's a nice project that can be done, but we haven't done it yet. And I think it's what I'm seeing is that there is a lot of interest in nature-based solutions. There is a lot of interest in taking up these new innovative solutions, the use of nature, but yet we don't exactly know about the benefits. So we haven't valued the benefits. And we did a knowledge needs assessment with Mediterranean island stakeholders 2 years ago. And if you look at the top 10 knowledge needs, cost-benefit analysis of nature-based solutions was something which was coming up a lot. So I think around half of those top 10 knowledge needs were relating to costs and benefits. It's a paper which has been published. How can we maximize the benefits to biodiversity, the benefits to well-being through the use of nature-based solutions? And this needs to be tackled through a combination of design, ecological research and monitoring approaches. And of course, this is an example of just one green roof, but what is really needed is a stronger integration of nature-based solutions in urban planning, and better financial tools to make nature-based solutions available to everyone. I mean, one green roof on its own in a high-density urban environment with maybe lower quality, with high noise pollution, will not do much, I guess. So I think we need better and stronger integration of nature-based solutions in urban areas, in urban planning, and through the use of good and sound financial systems that do not exclude anyone, because there is that danger, I think.
Thank you very much, Mario. I think we'll need you to conclude rapidly now. Thank you very much.
This is my last slide.
Okay, can you go swiftly, please?
I'll go quickly. In ReNature, we sort of thought that there's an opportunity to compile case studies and put them together in a compendium which is shared by everyone. And I think we need to bridge our community, create bridges. And there's a marketplace which is used basically for developing links with us in the project and outside with the community out there interested in nature-based solutions. That's all. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. This was really insightful as well. And I'm sure we're going to stay in topics that are very related to this one. We are staying on Mediterranean cities and coastal cities. We are going to address that with a duo, actually. Instead of one presenter, we will have two for the price of one and for the time of one as well. You will share your time together with Marie Baduel and Laurent Audebert. They are working on this project on Tanger Tétouan region, on Venice and Aix-Marseille Metropole, on resilience of coastal cities and nature-based solutions to address that. The floor is yours to share. Thank you very much. Yeah, you can come here and share and start your slides. Can you see them? Yeah? Okay. Yeah. Great. Yeah. Okay, it's just Is it can you help him to put the Sorry, we just to wait for But don't you have it in a PowerPoint format on the drive? You should have. Sorry, it will take a few minutes more. Just one minute to start the presentation. Yeah, it's better. Exactly. Yeah.
Is this working?
Yeah, it's working. We can hear you.
Okay, thank you very much. I'd like to take my mask off because we're just...
Yeah.
So thank you very much for the invitation. Marie Baduel from AVITEM and me, Laurent Audebert from the Architecture School of Marseille. We're going to present you MÉLIMED, which is a program on the focus on the Métropoles of Mediterranean coastline, about the climate changes, challenges and the resilient solutions. And so, did you want to,
Yes. Just a joke for beginning, because when I enrolled on the platform, I had to choose my job. And there wasn't urban planner or architect, only environmentalist, biologist, or history and geography expert. At the end, I chose geography and history expert, but it's not my job. This made me think that usually The biodiversity sphere doesn't dialogue with town planners. And so I want to thank the organizers for including us in this debate. I think this is a great step toward a sustainable city. Yes, 3 challenges. First, thinking the adaptation of the city to climatic issues in terms of adaptation and mitigation, especially in the Mediterranean coastal territory. Nature takes a central place as a structural element to organize the city. City must be organized around nature from now on, in taking into account the richness of the nature, wetlands, rivers, sea coast. For that, we are producing in this project new knowledge system to be able to measure the risks better, to be able to measure the ecological service of the nature. We are testing plurisectorial and pluriscaled method in order to design the most resilient cities possible. And in the hand, in third challenge, we are producing dialogue between research, training, and operational activities. This is very important in order to improve the quality of the research and training, and to give new methods investigated by the university to professional players.
Thank you. So the project is an European Erasmus Plus strategic partnership of higher education. It's financed completely by the EU. It's 400,000 euro for 3 years of work, and we are working on 3 sites: Tétouan, North Morocco; Venice, the Lagoon of Venice; and Marseille, the heart of the Métropoles of Marseille, which is Étang-Berre and focusing on the edge of Camargue. And we have 3 stages of dialogue with a planning professional. Do you want to talk about the planning professional? No, later. So this is a site map. We are addressing North Morocco, Marseille and Venice. And the project in the future is certainly to enlarge and look also more east to do those examples and those case studies around the metropolis of the coastline. So the results and impacts. We want to change the scale of how we work on the sites, bringing up the territorial scale, also from downstream to upstream. The territories looked in depth, interland, watershed, water basin, like little valleys, and not only the thin line of the coastline. And we think that it's the process of design that sets the area of study, of course. And so we don't say that we work with the bioregion aspect, but we are very close to this approach, and we try to address this question with a specific Mediterranean approach.
Yes, for this question of bioregion, from the coastal approach, the project has allowed us to redefine a large way the model of the bioregion. In the case of Tétouan, there is a re-questioning of the whole social, economic and urban system. I take 3 examples. First, all the touristic development along the coast. All touristic development. We have found alternatives. Alternatives thanks to workshops in which we have developed the idea of more endogenous model with a reinforced agricultural system, place dedicated to artisanal production, workshop using the green economy, experiments using the circular economy, smart green, and more market to the local activities. Second, a new system of mobility with all routes oriented towards plurimobility, soft mobility, collectivity mobility. And third, from an architectural point of view, a proposition to design modern bioclimatic structures from the Andalou Rifin models. So this is a systemic approach between risk, resources, society, production, consumption in a perspective, in a global perspective of transformation.
Thank you. This is just an image to show that we look in depth in the territory and that the question of water is very important. Either the WED, the valleys, the little valleys, or the impact of the sea level rise on the coast. So results and impact.
Yes. What are the results? There are very efficient nature-based solutions for the new design of city. But I want to insist of nature-based solutions are not just technical objects. NBAs have to be included in political and economic processes. For instance, NBAs limit urbanization or change urban planning designs, limiting coastal construction, for example. For example, with NBAs, it would be possible to accept submergence of some territories to protect other territories. This is an economic and political choice, and some property are flooded and others are enhanced. The global cost of urban project is higher at short term. So one of the results of the project is to find the condition of governance and of financing urban projects. Second point, there are a lot of NBS in the workshop in terms of coastal design, energy management, agricultural landscaping. The main result is that it is no longer possible to fight against natural risk linked to climate change with just defensive systems, sea walls, etc. The new ways is to replace them with regeneration of natural systems such as dune and bond new long-term projects.
So I'll just say that also the result is improving the teaching in this cross program between the universities. And this is an image of how we design with the students. You can see first image is the impact of the sea level rise. Second image is that if you don't do anything. And third image is how with thinking of the transformation of the coast and the land, how we can design the change instead of being the change being the result with no decisions. So maybe I will just switch to the conclusion. Yeah. Okay. Well, let's. Okay. So conclusion is about tailor-made solution. Territorialized and specialized solution is not a pre-made solution. It's every case study has its own solution, and above the technical solution, the process of the design process. This is the solution. Let's bring the things together and make it possible to think the change and do not apply a pre-concept technical solution.
Yes. Above the technical solution, the process, you said, I think it's a question of new form of governance, new regulation, and new funds. In short term, the profitability of NBRs are less than other modes of urbanization, and we have to find some taxes or some grants for the municipality to boost a nature-based solution. Other economy temporalities, short and long term, and with new knowledge and new method to the assessment of that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Congratulations for this very inspiring ideas. Good round of applause. We're going to move on now to Marion Croquet, who's from Conservatoire du Litoral. I don't know how do you say it in English. You'll probably present it in English. I don't exactly remember. The French Shoreline Conservancy, something like that. Who has a long history in coastal restoration and management and let's say nature-based solutions, actually from their origin back in the middle of the 1970s. So Marion is going to present us something on the not far from here, I guess, in the Vieux-Salins d'Hyères on the Var region and the Delta du Golo. Well, you will introduce that. Thank you very much. You have a little bit more than 10 minutes. Thank you, Marion.
Vous m'entendez là, c'est bon? Ok. Ah, ouais, ça marche. Voilà. Okay, so hello, I'm Marion Croquet. I work at the Conservatoire du Litoral. I don't know how you would translate it in English, but French Shore Conservancy. Or I will present some really experiments that we carry on the field. I will take one example only because I thought there was 8 minutes, so I don't have much time. This is all part of the Adapto project, which is a European LIFE project. But of course, at the Conservatoire du Litoral, there are many other NBS going on already for a long time. A first short introduction on the Conservatoire du Litoral. So our mission is not to think about risk management. It's not part of our mission. The mission of the Conservatoire is to purchase land, coastal land, to protect it, protect the ecosystem, the coastal ecosystem, the landscapes, prevent urbanization on those areas, and of course develop access to the public and improve biodiversity or protect biodiversity on these sites. However, obviously, when planning coastal areas, we have to think of risk and risk management, and so anticipating climate change. Adaptation requires nature-based foundation. I really je n'ai pas pensé, mais c'est mieux. Ouais, on est mieux comme ça. So next slide, sorry. The Adapto project is a LIFE project, as I said, so funded by the European LIFE and other funds. And we implement 10 experimental actions of what we call flexible shoreline management on the French coast, so Atlantic coast, Mediterranean coast, and one in the French Guiana. And the idea is to prove that NBS can be part of climate change adaptation of coastal area solution. So what we mean by flexible shoreline management is simply to consider the shoreline as a buffer zone between land and sea that can move freely with the storms, the sea level rise and everything. Or differently said, it's about giving a certain width to the sea-land interface where movement and changes can occur. So management action aim to accompany movements and changes in ecosystems and use habits. On the Atlantic area, I will quickly talk about it because it's interesting, even though the focus here is on the Mediterranean coast. Ancient polders are turned back to salt marshes, for example. And we observe a rather quick return to natural sedimentary dynamics and specific salt marshes vegetation that can reduce wave impacts and then reduce risk for houses or cities. And if the sedimentation is important enough, the bottom of the old polder heightens and adjusts quite well to sea level rise, and then protect even more and reduce wave energy even more. So it's quite interesting. It can we can think of it for Mediterranean lagunas, for example. On the Mediterranean side, flexible shoreline management consists more of helping dunes to grow and remain healthy by restoring natural dynamics. So the dune can act like natural breakwaters and protect as well the hinterland. But that works with mangroves or all coastal environment that have to be thought as a thick area and buffer zone. That's the idea. And yeah, we try to create room for all those dynamics to occur again, and voilà. So an example of what we do in the Adapto project is the case of the Vieux-Salins in Hyères, near Toulon. The Conservatoire du Litoral owns several tens of hectares of ancient saline, and a breakwater was built there to secure the salt production. The salt production stopped in 1995, so quite recently. And erosion of the shoreline occurred downdrift of the breakwater, and the dune there became very narrow, right in front of the irrigation channel of the whole saline. So if a breach occurred because of the narrowing more and more of the dune, that would cause flood of the little town located in the back, and as well the destruction of the irrigation system. So that was, well, quite something that we worried about. And we didn't have many solutions to face that. One of them was to resist more by building another breakwater, maybe, or put rocks to fix the shoreline. Another option was to keep or to suffer and wait for the bridge to occur and think, what can we do now? And the solution, obviously, that we chose was to adapt and anticipate what was happening. So for that, we removed the part of the breakwater, so that's what is shown on the picture, on more than 600 meters of coastline. It was done in two operation works in 2019 and 2020. And the idea was to restore natural sedimentary dynamics, to help the dune to rebuild. There was also some dune rehabilitation and work done. But thanks to that work, the erosion cell was shifted to a location that where breaching is now more acceptable and where we can control. If a breach occurs, we can control the flood better. So in that sense, the risk was really reduced, the coastal risk. So in addition to this beautiful beach now that we have, so the landscape obviously is much nicer, and we can imagine that also the coastal ecosystem has moved to something more natural. We see that natural sedimentary dynamics have come back, or are back as they should be, and that the shoreline, so that's what's shown is the area where there was a lot of erosion, and in this area the shoreline has moved seaward. So since the yellow before the works in 2018, and now it has moved like 5 to 10 meters seaward, although there was a big storm at the end of 2019. So that's a very positive result, and that shows that, by renaturing this shoreline, we have stopped or reduced erosion and saved this dune, and that can now protect the whole area. That's a bit the idea. So some lesson that we learn, and that's together with other projects the other Adapto projects. The idea is don't talk too early about future to avoid anxiety and also protection of request. I think there is a mistake in that sentence, but to avoid anxiety, that's nice enough. And also don't talk only about future and adaptation and risk management, but also other approaches can be useful, like economy, landscape, and social perception. That is another entry, other entries that are very interesting. Specifically about the coastal, but I guess it can apply to other fields, is the idea that nature changes always. So we have to stop thinking that we can fix it and give up the idea that it has to remain as it is. It will change and it will keep changing, so we have to adapt. Talk to everybody and not only the decision makers. That's something we know, I think. And also it's important to feed the debate with technical and scientific strong elements. And one thing that we like to do at the Conservatoire du Litoral, which is done also in many other fields, but is to propose foresight exercises to help people to think of the future, of course. And I invite you to check the project websites. And thank you.
And to discuss with you and ask questions. Thank you very much for this excellent presentation and timely presentation. Yeah, if you please. And our last speaker will be Lourdes Lazaro Marine from the IUCN Center for Mediterranean. We've had them this morning, and Lourdes is one of the pillars of the center in Mediterranean. And again, I think it's the topic of this afternoon. Lourdes will explain how the guidelines, the framework that's provided by IUCN for nature-based solutions have been applied to cities in the Mediterranean basin. What this applying to many cases have produced as results and prospects. Lourdes, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Jan. Well, just to make a joke as well, I'm not environmentalist, not biologist, and journalist, environmental journalist. So, but we are talking about MBAs as well, because we had to have different approaches in our MBAs, and communication is one of them. But today I'm not going to talk about communication. I'm going to talk about the first assessment that we've done in IUCN Met on the new standard, the IUCN Global Standard against real cases in Mediterranean cities. It's the first time that we are running this standard against a real case that is in a project or in a strategic way, in a strategic plan. And we are about to release this publication, this analysis next week. It will be online in the IUCN website. And today I'm going to show you a little bit these key findings of this exercise that is interesting to see how this MBS standard could be a useful tool to guide urban planners in the design and in the implementation of NDBS in Mediterranean cities, because also Mediterranean cities have a common characteristics that is related with the climate change, the cultural the history, and also in the way it was designed, these old ancient cities as well. So it's not the same a Mediterranean city and if compared with other northern cities, and that is important to have this expression of Mediterranean city at the same time, because they have common things that can be also useful in terms of looking for solutions for urban areas. So this assessment has been elaborated with support of consultancy Ternalia, and it was funded by MAVA, but also we had the contributions of more than 12 urban areas in the Mediterranean. And this analysis aims especially to collect evidence base on the benefits on MBS to cities. And it's, as you know, MBS is an emerging policy for in the context of urban areas, and cities had to deliver bespoke research and also pilot projects to generate evidence base the required for local policy development. So this is what we are trying to do, is to collect these examples and to run the standard against these examples to see if these standards could be useful or not, and we can provide this evidence base for other cities. And also this analysis will help us to identify the potential and also the challenges and the need for continuing improvement urban development in the context of these new concepts. So we can say that the combined effects for rapid development and also dispersed urbanization, democratic change, environmental change in the Mediterranean cities, and now the COVID is make us to have a call for a significant transformation on how to redesign cities, and especially to overcome the deficiency that we identified especially in planning and development, and also now to adapt to the climate change situation. But especially biodiversity loss is something that IUCN is quite interested on it. So these challenges are captured in different policy frameworks affecting the Mediterranean region. These political frameworks are, for instance, the Sustainable Development Goal, Goal 11, in which they want to make cities and human settlement inclusive, safe, resilient, and sustainable. Also, we have the Mediterranean Strategy for Sustainable Development. The Objective 3 is talking about planning and managing sustainable Mediterranean cities. We have also the resolution approved by IUCN members in the last IUCN World Conservation Congress in Hawaii, which is the political framework for many also ONG organizations, governmental organizations working towards improvements in MBS in the region. And of course, also in IUCN, we are working on the IUCN Urban Alliance, and they are developing a city nature index that will be connected with this new standard as well. So just to make a short reminder of this global standard, but consists of 8 criteria and 28 indicators, and especially for IMBS had to address one of these 7 challenges, societal challenges identified according to the IUCN definition and the global standards. And these are the societal challenges identified for, to have a common methodology for everybody, common understanding of these concepts, which are climate change mitigation and adaptation, disaster risk, economic and social development, human health, food security, water security, environmental degradation, and biodiversity loss. So it's just to have this kind of common frameworks. And these are, 8 criteria, and each criteria has different indicators. This is part of the global standard. It's because this global standard is had to help us to everybody that we are talking about MBS concept in the same way, because otherwise we are going to get loose with many concepts. So what we've done now is to run this, to make an analysis and assessment of real cases against this standard to see how it's useful, how this standard could be useful for cities, because as a global standard, is something that it was thought for landscapes, but not for cities. And cities could have different kind of needs, and we wanted to know if this could be useful or not. So we identify 18 cases, real cases, from different countries. And this report summarizes the results of this fair assessment. To make this work, we identify first, we collected information of these particular practices in each city. We make the analysis running the 8 criteria with the standard. And also we present these preliminary results to the stakeholders, technicians from these cities working on these particular cases. So in order to verify if this standard makes sense for them, how we make the analysis, the self-assessment analysis for them. And it was very interesting because we then, in this selection of 18 cases, we identified 2 speeds. One speed is about mature practices, those who has this city that has more long tradition on applying ecosystem-based approaches and green infrastructure in urban plannings, such as the case of Barcelona, for instance. Or other kind of speed, it was good practices that we consider here, and that reveals that these examples could be good examples for sharing MBS samples to other cities. Okay. Well, we divided, because of these 2 speeds, we divided the cases in 4 typologies. These types are here. We find the different colors in urban generation in a global climate change context, climate change and water resilience, coastal resilience under rising seas, and also mature projects, as you say. And well, the objective of this assessment was identify good practices in different Mediterranean region, cities, to see how they are contributing to these societal challenges using the standard. Also, we identify the gaps in practices and explore opportunities for improvements. We have identified also lesson learned for practical applicability and usability of the standard, with extracting messages to share with other cities and other technicians and practitioners, and also to give value to the adaptive capacity of the standard itself and how it could be reviewed and customized for cities. This is interesting. Of course, this practice analysis had been assessed as nature-based solution, despite the fact that maybe not had been designed as such in the first place. But the approach was very close to the MBS, so we decided that could be part of this analysis. So the key findings of the assessment are here. Is it's a little bit, we are repeating common things with other colleagues in this formal presentation, but we identify through this assessment that there is a need to identify and document the benefits and costs of MBAs for cities. It's important to prioritize, especially with a long-term perspectives, especially considering the maintenance and the renewal. Monitoring is fundamental for improvement in design and management. Also, it's important to measure and value MBS in comparison with other approaches, other options, and for that we need specific tools and processes, and this is part of what we need to share, this common knowledge that we are generating with the evidence base, with this example from you, from other colleagues. And also, we realized that with this exercise, all the MBS cases that are currently used in this analysis meet a wide range of societal challenges, particularly human health and well-being. From overall lesson learned from the assessment, show that point out that we need to continue improving, especially on a systematic evaluation of auctions to allow assessment of trade-off and economic feasibility, including quantitative and qualitative assessments. It's important to have more inclusive involvement, especially in the incorporation into everyday practice at multi-level planning. Also, it's important incorporating adaptive management approaches into strategic and project planning, and especially, and this is a key issue that it was highlighted for the practitioners in all the cases, establishing a way to gather all this information with a baseline and monitoring data, and this is something very difficult for especially urban planners and technicians. So here we have some, comments done by people, the technicians, when they run the standard, from Zagreb, from Malaga, from Barcelona, and it's quite interesting their opinion there. So, I can leave it there because the application, the analysis will be ready next week on our website. I think it could be a useful tool for everybody because we have the full report, also a summary of these case studies that can be, easily reading because it was a tough analysis. So thank you very much.
Thank you, and the report will be available next week, right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much, Lourdes. We have just a few minutes to have some questions and answers before we start the next session, which will be moderated by my friend Raphaël Billet. But if you still have an opportunity to ask one or two questions to the panel, if you like, some of you, or if not, with some minutes forward, we will then start the next session. We won't leave you with a break because I know you would then escape somewhere. So we will then start directly for the next session. No question, no answer. So thank you very much again. We'll now leave the floor to Raphael and his panelists. And yeah, the work keeps on. Remember, now we're going to try to work on what do we do with all this to design an action plan. That's a really easy task for you, Raphael, to moderate, and I give you the floor. Please come. Thank you again, and please come to the fore.
Just to let you know, there's not a coffee break now, but after the first panel, there will be a coffee break. They'll be organized here, so you'll have a chance to rest as well.
That's great news. The best news from the beginning. Je te désinfecte mon micro parce que je l'ai bien pourri. Oui, il est bien humide. C'est une zone humide. C'est une zone humide là. Ouais, ah mais non, mais ça c'est pas moi ça c'est la lingette. Non, c'est la lingette, c'est pas moi. Ouais, c'est ça. J'ai un coup de fil urgent à passer manifestement. Et je reste. Je vais rester jusqu'au bout parce que j'ai un truc à 4 heures. Ouais, à 4 heures. Ouais, c'est dommage. Ouais, je suis éclaté.
Il y a combien de... Sont 4. Donc c'est bon.
Là, il y avait Marion.
Il est à distance.
Il a parlé tout à l'heure.
Oui.
Donc lui, il ne reparle pas,
si, mais sur notre...
il a déjà présenté ReNature Companion. Et donc,
Donc, il est un peu
il
là.
recommence quand même. So be it.
Ils ont essayé des choses. Il y a des passions un peu... tu ne peux pas imaginer.
J'en ai vu d'autres.
Yeah, but he's taught already, so that's why I'm confused.
Bonjour. Alors, attendez, je m'apprêtais à parler, donc j'avais enlevé mon masque.
Bonjour Tatiana. Vous allez bien?
Voilà, oui. Donc je vais être le modérateur. Bonjour Renad. Yes, okay, English speaking. So yeah, so I'll be the moderator. No stress.
Mario is following the system.
Yeah.
Marion Baduel d'AVITEM.
Le panel 1, c'est Stéphane, Tatiana, Blanca et Philippe.
C'est pas Lorena.
C'est pas toi.
Je me disais, et c'est pas.
Et c'est pas vous. Sorry, you're actually on the second panel later in the afternoon. So you still have 1 hour.
No, they sent me a message saying that they have changed me to be at 3 o'clock.
Ah.
Can you ask Lord? Lord? He has the agenda for the old one?
No, it's fine.
So Emad is on the second panel?
No, it's fine. I told you. The man is here.
So second panel.